Okay, we're back. My name is Jeff McDougall, and I am here to share with you some of the genealogy and ancestry findings that I've had. I've been working on this for several years. I've already shared with you some books, and so we're going to get right along. This is a story that's really dear to my heart. I've heard the story several times, and we're going to get into it. This is the story of the Indian girl found in the hollow tree. Again, my name is Jeff McDougall. Today's date is July 28th, 2026. Follow along with your book. If you don't have a book, find someone who does and get a copy. I've tried to put enough copies out there for the younger generations to eventually have one. So we're going to talk about the folklore. Folklore isn't important to use as important to me as important as the documents that we find in family Bibles or newspaper articles. Folklore, especially when the story's been told over 2 centuries and doesn't change much, as this one, we have to take into account the folklore. And this is not just a telephone game where one person told somebody and somebody told somebody. This has been going on for centuries, retelling this same story of the Indian girl found in the hollow tree. So historically, it wasn't unheard of for families to take on and adopt orphan Indians that were on the battlefield, left on the battlefield. Soldiers wouldn't necessarily kill a baby. And the children were either hidden away or would go run and hide during the displacement of Indians from the battlefield. And when they're found by compassionate families, then they were most likely informally adopted and taken home. So the folklore matches historic happenings of that time. However, the person most attributed to this folklore is my great-great-grandmother, Mary Kinshafuni Armour, and later became Jones. Mary Kinshafuni Armour Jones. She's the mother of Emma Louise Saxon, and Emma Louise Saxon is the mother of Clara Louise Saxon Butts, who is my grandmother and the mother of my mom. But when we look at Mary Kinshafuni, we can understand why she was attributed to this story, because Mary Kinshafuni, having that name, it's an unusual name. It sounds like an Indian name. However, the evidence does not support that she was the Indian that was found in the tree. She was born too late, much too late for the Indian displacements. Her parents were documented, and she had no connection to the hollow tree story. Her name, Kinshafuni, is not a protest of a county name change, which Kinshafuni County was later changed to Webster County. There was some protest, but not enough that anybody changed the name or named their child Kinshafuni. It wasn't to that level of protest. There was some petition signed for the governor, but the name change did take place from Kinshafuni County to Webster County, Georgia. Mary Kinshafuni's name is most likely reflects a Creek culture. There are Creek Indians in the area. The Cape family would certainly have mixed in or associated, been around some Creek communities and some Cherokee communities. There was a Kinshafuni Creek that ran through the north part of Georgia, and Mary Kinshafuni Armour was likely named from one of these. Now, interesting enough, Mary Kinshafuni, her mother and father, or her mother was the daughter of King Hiram Cape, C-A-K-P. King Hiram Cape struck me as an unusual name, and still in the line of Mary Kinshafuni Jones, and so I want to take a look at that. But as far as Mary Kinshafuni being the Indian girl, most likely it does not. She was not born in the time of the Indian raids or the retaliatory violence, the forced displacement, the the Trail of Tears that you might have heard about, and the informal frontier adoptions occurred much earlier than Mary Kincher Jones, and so we're gonna. So I've kind of put her aside as a suspect in being the Indian girl. But I did take a hard look at this King Hiram Cape, which would have been the grandfather of Mary Kincher. And King Hiram Cape did live in that area. Hiram, people did name their children after simple biblical names, and Hiram is found in the Bible being Hiram the first, the king of Tyre. You would name a child Hiram to signify wisdom, craftsmanship, loyalty, or there's a large Freemasonry in the frontiers of Georgia. The Freemasonry was a name of Hiram Abiff, which symbolizes integrity and a symbolic rebirth. So that name of Hiram could have come from either the Freemasonry origins or even a simple Bible reference. So the Hiram name was not so unusual. However, the name King and the blending of King Hiram, King and Hiram being a first and middle name, that was unusual. There is nobody in our family history named King, and nobody that I can find in any history named King Hiram, and using those two names in conjunction is I don't see it. So we look at King Hiram Cape, C-A-P-E, and the evidence that he may have been the Indian that was found by the Cape family in the Hollowdale tree. And the reason why this is possible is that it's biologically improbable that Thomas and Eleanor, his parents, were too young to be the parents of King Hiram, who was born in 1803. The household structure was chaotic in the early periods, and King Hiram suddenly appears in the family records, just suddenly appears. And the naming pattern is both symbolic and unique, and it matches with the family folklore, aligns perfectly with his birth year at 1803, and the placement. Every piece of evidence that I've found points to King Hiram Cape as the founding child. So he's the most plausible. Another thing, we could take a look at the Cape family timeline. There's a split household. The different family, the different children are born in different states. There's two maternal lines. There's two women involved with Thomas, both bearing children, and Thomas and King Hiram suddenly appears. The household consolidates in Georgia, with all the children still living under Thomas's roof. But then suddenly here's this King Hiram, and there's no further anomalies after about 1818, and the family stabilizes. So looking at King Hiram Cape, he's the most plausible identity of the Indian that was found and informally adopted. He matches the timeline of the historical events of that time, and he's born into a family that is conducive that he's there. He just suddenly all the siblings are too close to him for him to be born with a mother and father that would be 13 and 14 years old at the time that he was born. So I'm looking at that Indian found in the hollow tree as King Hiram Cape. And if you have any other ideas, or if you disagree with my findings here, then please drop a comment down below, or make your own video describing who you think is the Indian found. Again, we're not too far off with Mary Kitchafuni, though I think Mary Kitchafuni was actually named by her parents after would be her grandfather. Betsy Cape's father was King Hiram. Betsy Cape would have certainly given honor to her father, King Hiram, and named a child in honor of the Creek Indians that were in the area. King Hiram and Betsy, of course, was still alive. King Hiram was still alive with Betsy was growing up. But though King Hiram wasn't alive at the time Mary Kitchafuni was born. So it's very plausible that Betsy Cape named Mary Kitchafuni in honor of her father, King Hiram Cape, C-A-P-E. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and like I said, if you find anything that you disagree with or you find other evidence, I am always ready to stand corrected. I'm always ready to stand corrected, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day. I love you.